Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenore and today I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Libra. If Libra is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so this is a bonus reading for Libra, and our card tonight is the 10 of Discs, or as it says on the card, the 10 of Pentacles. Okay, and let's go ahead and see what these tea leaves have to say. And so if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And I don't know if you can hear that crackling in the back there. It's pretty loud. I got a different kind of candle. It has one of those wooden wicks on it, which I have never used before, and it smells really good. But I didn't realize it was going to be crackling the whole time. Sounds like a little fire. Okay, so we have to look. Look at this face. What is that? It looks like, just kind of vicious. Look at these eyes. There's an eye here. There's an eye here. And isn't that... I can't tell you. I am so amazed sometimes at how these tea leaves just kind of find their way to one another. And the eyes mimic each other with the flat top and the round bottom. And even the piece in the middle, which is, I don't know. I don't know about you, but I'm just like constantly amazed when I see this kind of repeated shape. Because really... all they do is put water in there, let it steep, and then sip it, kind of rotate it like this while I'm sipping it. And then the leaves find their place. Okay, so it is astounding to me. Even though I've done, a few thousand readings at this point, it still really kind of knocks me back a little bit. Okay, so this face, it looks like a gremlin or some kind of entity of some kind. And it feels like, to me, it feels like anger. It feels like somebody with a really bad temper. Maybe kind of antisocial, very kind of oppositional, but to the point where it's like, okay, when you're young and you kind of have these traits, you're learning about life and your place in the world and how things work, and you're pushing against, whatever the norm or the rules or whatever, right? Okay, yeah, that's pretty, you hope that your kids kind of do that, right? You hope that young people do it to some degree because you want them to be able to navigate life on their own terms, right? They need to be confident about their place in the world, as I said. And then you get older and older and older yet. And that's not to say that all of a sudden you have to conform because you've aged. That's not it. But to actively kind of go out of your way or, be in these situations where, there's maybe some conflict or, a rising stress, emergency, whatever it is, and then just flying off the handle. I don't know about you, but I don't like to be around that kind of energy. honestly, that kind of energy makes me feel unsafe, like on a deep level. It's not even just like a, like a personal, whatever, a personal, what's the word? I don't, whatever. It makes me feel unsafe. And preference. There it is. Personal preference. But yeah, and I think a lot of us feel that way when you just can't really tell when somebody is going to switch like that. And I feel like definitely this is that energy. It's something like, it's almost like, it's not like more than one personality, but it's almost like something comes out of them. It steps out and shows itself. And you almost feel like you don't know the person when you see this part of them. And, I hope that this isn't something you have to deal with often. I hope that this isn't somebody you live with. I hope that, it doesn't go beyond these moments of kind of emoting and kind of having a bit of a meltdown or whatever. Because it to live like that is hard. I mean, it's very difficult. And so I look up here and I see that we have, it looks like a bird. You can see the little claws right here, and you can see the face, the eyes, the beak. It kind of looks like a seagull to me, kind of a goofy face, but still very, very focused. And you can see the wings out, and now I feel like it's coming in to get this person and kind of lift them and take them away to the rescue, right? Now we have these birds that they are usually, in the symbolism for me, bringers of messages. They are indicators of where you're traveling, if you've gone off path, if you are in the right place, these kinds of things. For this one, it really does feel like, let me just back up a second here too. The bird is also related to the air element, which we can figure out why, right? They're in the air. So this is kind of that sword energy. This is the rational mind, logical mind, creativity as well. But for this, I'm saying this is like very clear-minded, logical. We gotta do something here, right? So I do feel like there's this sense of, okay, whatever happened or whatever is going on, done with it. Not putting up with it for even a second more. This energy is, I just imagine sweeping, opening the front door, sweeping all of the dust, debris, the chaos and raised voices and name calling and just feeling cornered, feeling manipulated, feeling like you have to sometimes cater to this person's mood because you're afraid that it will escalate. No more of this. And this could be an old thing. I mean, this could be years ago. This could be something that you are working through right now. It could be that you're here and you're hearing this message because you're going through it and you're beginning to really come to a place where it's like, okay, now I'm going to start drawing on my energies so I can kind of figure out how am I going to move away from this? How are we going to exit this entanglement, this bond, this relationship, this friendship, whatever it is? Okay? This is the kind of person that doesn't like to be wrong. This is the kind of person that doesn't doesn't want to be left. Can't hear that you're not going to put up with it anymore, or that you don't like how they're talking to you, or the way that they behave around you, or your kids, or, you know, whatever. And now, this doesn't have to be a romantic partner. This could be a family member, a parent, a child, you know, a friend, a coworker, whatever it is. And you have to be careful, because you already know they have a temper. And so, let me just say, I'm not any kind of licensed therapist, social worker. You know, I have no professional. I'm not a professional. I mean, I'm a professional tea leaf reader, but I'm not, you know, I have no certifications. I have no license. So, you know, take my advice for, you know, how you will, but I want you to be safe if you're dealing with somebody like this. I want you to document everything. I want you to make sure that you are talking to other people who you trust in your life. If for some reason you don't have people like that, you have mutual friends who will tell them, they have isolated you, and you've, you know, lost touch with your family, or you know, the friends that you had, you know, and that happens when you have somebody like this that is narcissistic, that is controlling, that is abusive. And again, it doesn't even have to be, we think of it as like always this romantic part. It happens with family members. It happens with, you know, adult children. It could happen with anybody, right, that you get close to, if they are this kind of person. So, please be careful. And if you don't have anybody that you feel that you can tell, there are places that you can call. I don't have any phone numbers because I know a lot of people are from different areas of the world, the country, different states, counties, whatever. But I will tell you, there are a lot of resources. Just be mindful about how you get a hold of them if this person can find out, right? Also, you know, there are different kinds of support groups. Of course, you know, you also have to be careful with that. And now, I know some of you are listening to this and you're like, this isn't what I came here to, you know, you don't need to like preach to me about this kind of thing. It's not really fortune. Well, here's the thing. I have this tiny little platform, and I see these images. They bring up, sometimes I get, you know, just kind of these, I guess you would call them downloads, or I get imagery, I get feelings, I get a lot of impressions and sensations. And I feel that it's important for me to talk about the practicality of some of it, because you know what? Some people are going through it, and maybe, God forbid, but maybe one day you'll need this information as well. Maybe not for yourself, but for somebody you love. Okay? You know, if you don't know anything about being treated this way, then I'm happy for you from the bottom of my heart. You know, a lot of us are not that lucky. So I'm sorry, you know, I sometimes get messages or comments and stuff, people saying you're not a therapist. No, I'm not. You don't need to talk about these kinds of things. Well, first of all, don't tell me what to talk about. But second of all, yeah, I am going to talk about this stuff because, you know, if it even helps somebody a smidge, right, then it's worth it. All right, so let's keep going. I don't mean to get sassy, but, you know, I'm a sassy lady. In real life, I'm pretty sassy. Okay, let's see. Okay, so interesting. We have this kind of, it almost is like kind of religious. Well, I would say kind of Christology, Christianity imagery here. We have the cross right here, okay? We have the Grail right here. You can see the little cup or the Ace of Cups. We also have a person here who seems to have a halo over their head. We have a person here who is touching the foot of this person. They have their arms up, almost kind of in a devotional posture. And then over here, I have a fish. Okay, so the fish, I always say, the fish is such a great symbol to get because it is abundance. A lot of times it's monetary. It's also resources, okay? Things coming into your life, into your physical world that provide sustenance, okay? Now, so we have a person holding the cross. You can see right here. Let's see, right here. You can see the head, you can see the body, you can see kind of the lower body, the legs, okay? Cross right above. Okay, now I don't think that this is, you know, an image of Jesus holding the cross, but I do feel like this is a person who is pretty devout. Okay, this is a person who lives in their faith, in their convictions. They are, you know, probably somebody who is fairly active in their religious community. Now, it doesn't have to be that they go to a church or they practice socially or, you know, with like a congregation, a grouping of people. They could be somebody who is kind of a solitary practitioner, okay? But I also feel like there happens to also be maybe, it almost feels like two daughters possibly, or maybe a sister and her daughter. But they do feel like feminine people. And I feel like it's kind of almost like within this family, within this grouping of people, there have been different paths taken. There's one that seems pretty devout and devoted to a more formal path. And this one over here, it's almost kind of like there is a innate holiness. And then it's something that, if you've ever met somebody in your life, and a lot of children kind of feel this way because I feel like they are closer to spirit. Although spirit is with us all over the place, all the time, 24 hours a day. You know, as we get older, we become more closed off, I think, cynical to some degree. We've been through a lot. We've seen a lot of things. And we just don't always recognize spirit in our lives. And we also, I just feel, don't always necessarily want to, right? But it feels like a younger child, maybe around, I'm thinking like around 8, maybe around there. Angelic in a way, right? Just glowing. Easy to see that they have something. They're just different, right? They feel like light to me when I'm thinking about this light. And like I see flowers growing all around them. Like wherever they step, there's flowers growing, right? Like a sunny day in the grass, walking in the grass barefoot. But just, you can just tell that it's like they know something that we could never know. You know, you could spend 100 years studying books and doing ceremonies and saying prayers and, you know, devoting your life to the way. But this is something that they just live in. They don't even have to try, you know. And it feels holy to be in their presence. And I don't know if you've ever met somebody like that. I've had the, you know, the great pleasure and blessing to meet more than one person like this, actually. And it's such a profound thing that you don't ever forget about that feeling. You know, if you live every day with this person, or if you've only met them briefly in passing, you just remember. It's imprinted on you. And, you know, I feel like there's just within the family, though, there's just this sense of great faith, great devotion, but also kind of a schism. Because sometimes, right, we get really dogmatic about certain things. Sometimes they're really big things, yeah, like belief or faith or the system that we want to adhere to. And sometimes it's smaller stuff, right? We just kind of cling on to our idea of like what is wrong and what is right. How we do things is the right way. Here's a good example. Folding clothes. I don't understand how my husband, shout out to Dove and Serpent Tarot. Hi, honey. My husband, Paul, over there. I don't understand how he folds clothes. I look at them and I think, okay, well, at least they're folded, right? Thank goodness he does that sometimes. And he does not understand all the time how I fold my stuff. He just, you know, how I fold the towels, he doesn't necessarily like. But it's like, you know, I'm going to do it my way. He's going to do it his way. We're going to try not to fight about it. But it's just, you know, that's how I like to do it, and that's how I'm going to do it. And, you know, and these are kind of the smaller things in life that I'm talking about. But, yeah, I don't know that this thing has ever become remedied. There seems to be this, and as I'm saying, it almost feels like suffocating and like being in a very oppressive room, a house. It feels oppressive. The air is kind of thick, and when you walk up towards the door, there's a feeling of kind of dread, right? And not knowing how do we work this out? What can I do, and what am I willing to do? What kind of compromises? Well, I feel like, you know, there's a sense of having to kind of leave and have your own life. If you are the person who is kind of this religious, adhering to, you know, some kind of formed system, or if you are somebody who lives off your intuition and feelings and impressions of things. You walk through life in your faith, but it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else. You don't have to name it. It just is. Either way is valid, right? As long as you're not trying to force it on anybody else. So I feel like, yeah, there's a sense of having to leave. It's not, these maybe are your people, right? And you love them, but to live in the same home and have to be maybe ashamed. That's what I keep thinking. It's like being kind of like taught by shame. I really want to teach you something, so I'm going to shame you until you learn it. But you're not really learning about what they want you to know. They want you to, you know, whatever it is, how to behave or some kind of understanding of some, you know, whatever abstract thing. But no, you're learning to be a shameful person, a person who lives in their shame, moves in their shame. And that's a burden that I feel like you just couldn't live with anymore. And so you left. Maybe you went off to school. Maybe you met somebody, got married, had your own family. Maybe you went traveling, got a job across town, stayed over there, come over on, the holidays or whatever. Whatever it was, I can feel there's a separation now. And, and I feel like all these years later, I feel like you have your own life. You have your own people. I think sometimes you look at other families, other people who seem to really choose each other. And they don't put a lot of conditions on that love. And you think, how and why? And is this real, or is it like a show? Are they putting on a show? Is it different when they're in private? But no, they just really like each other, and they respect each other's beliefs and their choices and so on. And it's kind of like, wow, this is different. And you feel, you might feel a little bit jealous about it, like you've missed out. But I also think that it's really made you decide that your family, who you have created, isn't going to live in that oppressive household. They're not going to be afraid to come home and tell you about the things that they love and are passionate about and their ideas. They're not going to hide away from, your beliefs, your criticisms. And that is the gift here, I think, is that you have been able to step away from that kind of energy. You've decided this is not going to be passed down. Not by me. Not by me. So I do see a house up here. You can see a house. You can see kind of, it looks like maybe a parent. We have, it looks like a child reaching up to a bird, maybe feeding it. Okay. We have a smiling face on the house itself. We have a person sitting here. It looks like maybe in a rocking chair, some kind of chair. And I can imagine, oh, and look at that. It looks like we have Mother Mary right here. Okay. And I can imagine sitting at the kitchen table, working on something, pulling corn out of its husks, or doing a crossword puzzle, making a shopping list, drinking tea and having lunch and talking to your children and daydreaming and laughing and crying and, worry and great joy and anticipation and all of these things being centered around this place where everybody feels safe. And it almost makes me want to cry because it's such a beautiful thing. I told myself I wasn't going to cry. But here I am. Yes, it is a beautiful thing. And you should be proud of yourself. You should be proud of yourself. All right, let me get it together. And now we also have, it looks like a 38, okay? The 8 right there, so 38. And I just feel like there's just been such a flourishing in your life here. With the fish, we have just looks like we have a raccoon right here. My favorite. I love raccoons. I've been trying to get some pictures of them. We have a family of raccoons that lives just down the way from here. We've caught them on the outdoor camera. I want to get some trail cams at some point. So then I can post some videos. Maybe I'll do another channel of some videos of the animals. I'm sure nobody will be interested but me, but I am obsessed. So we have the raccoon, which, listen, the raccoon is a most blessed animal, symbolically. Well, in real life, but also symbolically. This is it's so adaptive. Almost like and I know, a lot of us, we don't like rats. I love rats. You don't like rats, maybe. But rats absolutely run the world. Or they will, maybe one day. There's so many of them. And they survive against all odds in all kinds of environments. Now, raccoons, not to that level, but similar. They have evolved just as we have to live in urban areas, to live in very populated areas, but they also can live in these very kind of open, sparse areas as well. They can live out in the forest. They can live in, farmland. They can, everywhere. Everywhere you will see raccoons. Maybe, I don't know in other continents, but I know in America, right? North America, I don't know about South America. I don't know. But I know that they are one of the most adaptive creatures. So I see this and it tells me, you're the same. You've had to change, maybe even more than once in your life. Maybe not you as a person at the core have had to change, but you have had to adapt to your new life more than once. And you do it and you thrive, period. Now, I just want to look at one more thing because it's getting to be a long reading. We have an owl. You can see the eyes, you can see the beak, kind of the round head. Oh, and we have this, look at this person up here. Look, with the hair kind of out, they're standing, and it looks like they're playing a flute. A flute of some kind, and then we have a frog behind them. I almost imagine some kind of, like a sprite or some kind of fae creature playing music out in the garden, out by the lake, out by the pond, or whatever it is, calling in the late afternoon, right? Be careful though, don't follow them home. They'll take you on quite an adventure and you might not come back. All right, so we also have the owl, okay? So the owl is obviously the wise one, the watcher, perceptive. You are perceptive, and you keep an eye on what everybody's doing. You like to, not even just like to, but you do. This is kind of ingrained in you. You take the temperature of a situation constantly. You're always kind of scanning around, watching what's happening. And now this might have something to do with, you know, living with or being around or having aggressive people in your life. You know, for me, it's growing up around an alcoholic. Always not sure how far, you know, things are going to go. Any given day. It could be 6 in the morning. It could be 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It could be, you know, in the evening, whatever. You never knew. You had to keep an eye on what was going on. What were they doing? How much were they drinking? Very young, you start to pick up on this. And it doesn't leave you. It does not leave you. You're always doing this wherever you go, for the rest of your life probably. And that's not to say that this is your situation, but this is when I know people who are like this, it's often because they grew up around addicts or people with anger issues, right? And so, you know, I think that you are somebody who is always kind of, you watch. You want to make sure that everything is okay. And so, you know, I think you're a survivor, you know, and I don't think it's always been easy, but you have done it. You've continued to do it. And so, you know, as I said, just be careful with whatever that first thing was going on. I know that you will. You're a Libra. You're not unaware, right? But yes, keep that intuitive, keep an eye on, see what's going on. Okay, so we also have a 12 down here. We have another fish. So money, again, money, not a bad thing. Now, I feel like it's just, I don't know, maybe there is some kind of, maybe your work is within maybe the summer, or if you're in the southern hemisphere, maybe it's in the winter, your work gets busy. Maybe you do something that's somewhat seasonal, or maybe you have kind of other jobs or side jobs or businesses, you know, like, you know, you mow grass in the summer and you shovel snow in the winter, right? Something like that, possibly. But I do feel like there's going to be kind of a increase in money coming in, okay? We've seen 2 fish, so I believe that, definitely. Okay, let's see. Now we have the Wild Offering Oracle cards, a 52 card deck on giving it all to God. I love these cards. They're beautiful. Okay, let's see. We're going to just flip through here and stop where it feels right. And it says, oh, money, look at that. Money. All right. All my finances are now in divine order. Love itself knows my needs and is the source for all. I needn't cling to gain or fear loss. Every need will be met through offering all to the divine. Awesome. Yes. Trust and believe the universe provides. All right, Libra, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I love you because I do, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And if you'd like to leave a comment, please do. I read them all and they mean so very much to me. All right. I love you. I love you. I love you. We will talk in just a couple days from now, and take care of yourself. Okay. Bye-bye.